Hey everyone, pull up a chair, have a seat. Join me as I call up somebody I haven't talked to in almost 20 years and see what they've been up to. See what life has taught them. Talk about the ups and the downs and everything in between. It's How the Heck Have You Been? Let's do it. Okay, my interview today, or rather my conversation, is with Robert Williams. He's somebody I've known literally just about all my life since we started in Cub Scouts and kindergarten together when we were 5 years old, and that's about how far back my memories go. But I wanted to do a little editorializing before I actually got into the episode on this one because I thought afterwards that I really should have told him kind of how happy and proud I was of him. He talked about his struggles his first couple of years of college right out of high school, and going from that to being an officer in the Navy on nuclear power submarines was pretty incredible just to hear him recount that and his journey. And it was also fun recounting how I gave him stitches one day and almost blinded him for life. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Robert Williams. What's up, man? How the heck have you been?
I have been well.
Good.
All things considered, especially
Yeah.
despite you can't see me, but I'm gesturing broadly. Um,
Now, you are the first guest I have had who we go all the way back to kindergarten, as the guy from Home Alone says it. So we went to Donna Park Elementary. That would have been 91, right? 1991 we started?
sounds
91 or
right.
2.
Yeah.
The Mustangs.
Yes.
Oh, man. Although that's all kind of fuzzy now. So I've got let's see, 1995 and 1997 yearbooks, old school. So I'm going to go with the earliest picture I have of you for the show graphic. It's going to be pretty good. Got those sweet glasses.
Oh,
Oh man, we all look late 80s, early
amazing.
90s, man. Christian's got a nice plaid shirt on. Steven Zinzel. Oh my gosh. They're all in here.
An amazing time for fashion.
Did you so like so some of us enjoy more like I really enjoyed high school. I did not enjoy junior high and I really loved elementary school. Like did you I don't think I mean you liked Donna Parker. It was pretty great
Yeah,
school.
I don't. Yeah, I have. Well, yeah, I would say good feeling about my memories. Like you said, pretty fuzzy reaching that far back.
And I've got Lauren, her daughter is there and she still has Miss Gowland as the art teacher. So
Wow.
Miss Gowland is she was inspirational. Both my sisters are now art teachers, and they both had her going through Donna Park as well. So shout out to Miss Lori Gowland. Um,
Yeah. Funny you mentioned that. You asked my favorite memory. Um, my favorite thing from Donna Park was I did really like the art classes there, the variety of styles and techniques that she exposed us to.
it was always
Um,
my favorite too. That was definitely the best elective. And did she? So my memory is of going to her house. Like she invited the whole school there to draw her horses, or maybe she just brought the horses to Donna Park. I thought we actually went to her property, and she had like a big property with fields where we could like draw her horses. That was pretty cool. Do you remember that?
I do not remember that. I remember drawing horses for the T-shirt every year, but not like a real horse, just like the Donna Park Mustang.
Yeah,
And
that's right. Did you? I think my sister got one of hers on the actual. She won one of the T-shirt competitions when
I
she
think
did
I
it.
got one on there too,
Nice.
like really early on. I just did my best to hand copy the logo of the Mustang, and
Yeah.
at
Well,
second grade that was good enough to stand out.
that's right. Elementary standards.
Yes.
Uh, and then you
But
didn't you didn't have Miss Gardner, did you? I mentioned her on the Katy Paris episode. Did you have Markman? I think.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, Mr. Markman. Um, But oh, real quick, I wanted to share from Miss Gallen another thing. I don't know if you remember, but I think you and I went to her one time and told her the Christmas joke about the 10th reindeer. What's the 10th
No, I don't
reindeer?
remember this one.
Um,
I sense a dad joke coming on.
yeah, it was your dad's joke. But
Of
the
course.
10th reindeer's name is Olive.
All of the other
Olive.
reindeer,
That's right.
yes.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
Um, she liked that joke so much that she made olive reindeer ornaments for us,
Oh, that's awesome.
and
Just for the two of
it
us?
had, I think so. She might have made some more to
Yeah.
give out and tell the joke, but it was a reindeer and with a head through the wreath and a little pimento olive nose.
Nah, I think I do. I think I do remember that now. I remember that being on our tree. That's awesome.
Yeah,
And that's
and
appropriate because this is Monday, right? So this is the day after Father's Day we're recording this.
yes, happy Father's Day, by the way.
You too. And now you've got
Belatedly.
two boys, right? And
Yes,
I've got two
Jack
girls. So you have what is
and
it?
Ethan.
Jack and what's the younger?
Ethan.
What was it?
Ethan.
Nice. So how's that? How's the boy? I mean, it's all girls all the time at my house. We have two cats and a dog that are both female, and then I've got three redheaded women living.
The estrogen.
It's thick in this house.
Yeah.
So I bet the dynamic at your place is a little bit different. Are
Uh,
they pretty wild?
they are Jack especially. He's just hitting the peak of his 3-year-old defiance, which we're making it through. Actually, he started to come down off the peak. I feel like
That's
so.
good. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the threes
We're,
definitely are worse than the terrible twos.
yeah. Everybody
They
talks
just
about the terrible twos. Three's way worse.
yeah.
Um,
And then it gets fun again.
yeah.
Like
I mean, and it is fun.
infant to 1.5 is really great depending on, how
Yeah.
well they sleep,
Yeah.
sometimes, but and then
Colicky kids can. Well, not that I know. My kids both slept pretty well.
you consider yourself blessed.
Yeah,
Hashtag
I do.
blessed,
I
man.
do.
Although I may have told this story. I don't think I did have told the story on the podcast yet. I went to hang out playing poker or something with some guy friends. This was after Samantha was like 2 or 3. And there was a guy who had a newborn, and he didn't realize that eventually they'll sleep for like 12 to 13 hours, when they finally can sleep through the night. And I told him that, and he was like in the first couple weeks of it, complete sleep deprivation. And I said, well, they eventually, like my daughter will sleep 12 or 13 hours most nights. And he looked at me. He was like, "You just saved me from driving into a tree." I'll never forget that. He was like being legitimate. He was like, "You just saved my life because I didn't think I would ever sleep again." And that's what most people think, is that your life never goes back. I mean, it never does go back to
yeah,
normal, but you do get nights of sleep, right? It's like it's not
yeah,
your social life doesn't completely disappear. You still have some time, but it's just a
yeah.
fraction.
I remember that time, especially when it's your first, and you're in those sleepless nights, and it feels endless.
Well,
But
and
then on this side of it, it's like, yeah, that was like 3 or 4 weeks.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it felt like much longer.
yeah,
Well, also when the second one comes along, it's not twice as bad. It's like 4 or 8 times as bad, depending, right? Like everything piles on top of each other. It's exponential because if with the firstborn you can maybe get 5 or 6 hours of sleep every night. If one of you wakes up to feed it or whatever, but with the second one, if they're both waking up 2 hours apart, you're basically getting no sleep, and no sleep is
mm,
much worse than 6 hours or 5 hours. And so with that second one, I was like, oh, what have we done? I thought, I was so confident that we handled the first one. All right, so what about Hearst Junior High? I talked a little bit about with Katie Paris about it. What was your what was your conception of your time at Hearst and what it felt like? Because our first year, I think 7th grade, we did a lot of stuff in portables. They were building the new building, so we were like in a transition period. That's most of what I remember, but I don't know about you.
yeah. I didn't remember the portables until you mentioned it. Yeah, I do recall that now.
Because I remember reading Romeo and Juliet with Miss Banner in the portables, like in a weird room for the first couple months or something,
Yeah,
and then moving into the new building. And everybody thought it looked like a prison.
because it does.
It has very like high brick walls, and then a
Yeah,
couple small like
when
maybe a
yeah
foot and a half by foot and a half square windows at like kind of
yeah
lining the top.
at the very top.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's not that bad, guys, right?
No.
It's better than
um,
portables.
yeah. So junior high, I'm with you. I think I would say more of a negative overall. I do remember. I mean, that was when we started band, which was good.
Yes, yes.
Loved that.
Do you remember what period your class was?
My band class,
Because well, the seventh
or
grade it would have been like saxophone during the all met as a group. Because ours like tuba was at the end of the day, and so that first year
we
when you're with all
did
the
we
other
not
saxophone
we
players.
did not all play. Oh, it was
Remember
by
we
section.
did like
Right.
sectionals, right? You learned the
Yeah, that's
instrument
right.
that first year.
That's right.
And who else? I'm trying to think if I was very good friends with any of the other like saxophone players from Hearst. I know
Well,
when we
I
got.
wasn't playing saxophone at that
Oh,
time.
you were oboe, right? And then
Right.
you march saxophone.
Yeah. The only oboe that I remember that I think you would remember was Jillian Wilkins,
Yes,
Eric's
yes,
sister.
yes. That's right. Although we played a lot of Pokemon. Did you pick up the Pokemon craze? You did, right?
Yes, yes.
Oh
And
man.
that was the other thing I was going to bring up from junior high. That was like I remember we had the cards and we all had our own like deck types.
Yeah. Were you
And
psychic? Oh,
I was mostly water,
okay.
but I did some psychic. I
Maybe
mixed some
just
psychic
Toby.
into
I
my
think
water.
Toby had a psychic deck or something.
Yeah,
I
but
can't find.
but
I'm so upset because I cannot find my old cards. I had a foil
I
Venusaur.
actually just found mine. Yeah,
Oh, I'm jealous. I probably gave them to somebody. I must have given them away. I don't know
but
why I would have done that.
the thing I'm really upset that I couldn't find was the gym badges that we made to our own decks themes, and then we
Nice.
would give them to each other if we won.
Regular nerds would just play the game, but
Yeah.
to be at our level, our epic level, you make your own badges. Oh my gosh. And I remember, maybe you remember this, meeting in like a computer lab in the morning. Like it must have been seventh grade because I think I remember realizing that there was like people who played in the computer lab in the morning and going there at the beginning of the day and starting your day off with a nice Pokemon game before going to class.
I remember mostly playing it in the gym.
Yeah. During PE, I'm sure.
Yes.
During
Yeah.
our physical education.
Keeping up the peak nerdiness.
And so it's popular now because once something is around when generations of people are younger, it's like kind of grandfathered in. But I think we were probably just slightly too old to be playing it when it came out. So again, extra nerd
Yeah.
points for that. But now, like I've got a friend who's I think 7 years younger than me that I worked with at the high school, and he was like completely into it. Right, all my students still now, are Pokemon fans. So I'm like, all right, so at least I'm like the OG. We're like the grandfathers of Pokemon. We were there when they only had the original deck. We didn't have no islands of whatever. I can't remember uh, what were all the sequels? The Dojo Islands or something. I don't know.
Uh,
That
there are
sounds
so
wrong.
many now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't keep up. I still play the games every now and then, but there's just so many. And
Magic the Gathering. That's a big one we played too. Basic because Pokemon basically ripped off and oversimplified Magic the Gathering.
yeah,
And now we're skipping over an entire career as Boy Scouts. So we started. You were there that first year, right? The with Pack 333, like in fifth grade.
yeah, yeah.
It was
From
you,
Tigers.
Christian, me, um, from the beginning. I don't know who else. Devin Tarver, I bet was. I bet he was there that first year. Not Brandon Henry. He came later.
Yeah, Brandon came later. Chris came
Chris
later.
Gertler came later. Yeah. That's the four of us. Glenn Byer was later. Um, but yeah, I mean, we've been in Boy Scouts, and you were IB as well. So we
Yeah.
basically had the exact same high school career or public school career.
Yeah.
So let's get forward because your mom just posted. I guess was that today that she did the post? Was it or was it yesterday
I
that
think
was the
so.
National Eagle Day?
Um, she sent me the text today, so
Yeah, I think it was today. So you, Christian Tobler, and I became Eagles on the same day. We all three had our board of review right on the same day.
yes.
And okay, was that so? Are you younger than me or older than me? Because I know one of because Christian and I cut it real close, right? Because
Yeah,
I
you're
think
within a few days of each other,
yeah,
right?
like after my birthday. Because you for those who don't know, you have to fulfill the requirements of becoming an Eagle Scout before your 18th birthday. And you can have your board of review after, which I think is what happened. I think it fell like between Christian's and my birthday or something like something crazy like that. Like I was a couple days under the wire, and Christian was a couple days after. But what about you? Were you 85 or 86?
I'm 85, just barely.
Okay,
Um,
so for you it was way past then, right?
yeah.
Yeah, we were all skidded in because we were like, I just
We all we all just like rocketed to the
to
Life
the
Scout
finish
and
line.
then
And
just
I
sat.
justified it because we were in this extremely competitive marching band program that sucked up a lot of our time, and we were also both in international baccalaureate, which was this what would you call it, world curriculum, kind of more advanced, like kind of like AP on steroids, and so we
AP plus lots of liberal arts.
yeah, so we had that on our plate as well as trying to finish up Eagle, but of course that's no excuse. But we did it. We did it.
We
So
did.
yeah, so that was pretty cool, and we were in the newspaper too. I think I still have a clipping somewhere of that photo your mom posted in the what would it have been, the Four Star Telegram, maybe even I don't know.
Most likely
Yeah,
that's
so
that would have
that
been.
was our 15 minute our first 15 minutes of fame at least,
Yep.
and then I gave you stitches, right? We
Yes.
can't
Yeah,
can't.
from like 100 yards away.
Looking back, I'm actually impressed. So here's the thing. I was not aiming for you, right? Like I was never. I remember actually like throwing to miss.
Yeah, I
So
mean, if you had aimed for me,
I would have made. Yeah, there's
you
no
wouldn't have
way
hit.
I could
Yeah.
have made that shot. So to back up, we were on a camp out, and of course this was like the 20 minutes I think that the adults left. I think they had to buy food because we ran out of food or something, which is really rare. Like that never happens. Like they never would leave us unchaperoned or whatever. But that's my memory, is that they like had to run to a grocery store for something. And so of course we used this this unmonitored time, and it.
They
Correct me if I'm
couldn't they
wrong.
couldn't have all they wouldn't have all gone though.
They probably left somebody with us, and then we were just
But
playing.
we were just
Yeah,
off in the
yeah.
trees.
So we were off in the trees. It started. I don't remember what we were playing. Maybe you do. But we were throwing rocks at each other in the middle of the forested area, and that evolved into us in the wide open field throwing huge sticks at each other. And and I remember just ratcheting back and letting one fly into an open space. And as soon as I let go, I see you running from my stage left straight into the path of the sticks, running like, oh, that might actually hit Robert. And it hits you, and you're on the floor like instantly, just like on your hands. And I think, what was it, your upper lip, like between your nose
Yeah.
and your lip,
Yeah.
and like bleeding into the dirt. And I remember somebody, maybe my dad or Mr. Griffin, saying, you can actually clean your hands in the dirt, like telling you to rub it in the dry dust because it'll actually dry up the blood. And you were confused by that. So like we all were like, what? Rub your hand in the dirt with blood?
I do remember that now.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I
And
felt.
I also remember the moment of impact because I I saw your airborne stick coming in and the distance away, and I was looking up at it like there's no way he's gonna hit me from that far away. I'm just gonna stand here. I'm gonna look real cool and let it miss me.
Oh,
And
so you
then
stopped as if for it to miss. Okay.
no, that was the plan anyway.
That's the hubris, man. That was the
Yeah.
hubris. You went for it. You took the risk. Oh.
Uh,
I felt so awful. I was like, oh, did I kill? Did, you know? And so I thought I hit your eye. Like I thought I blinded you in one eye, because all I saw was you like grabbing at your face and just blood coming out when I walked up. And I was like, what have I done? I've blinded Robert for the rest of his life. And I guess did we go home that day? I don't. That may have been the morning we were gonna go home anyway. We were about to leave or something.
I think so. I
That
don't
must have been because
remember. I don't remember like evacing from.
yeah, because you went. They probably stopped the bleeding maybe and took you to the hospital, and then I remember just sitting on the couch. In fact, I know exactly what year this was. This was our seventh grade year because we were still at the apartment with my dad. And so I remember just sitting on the couch and like waiting to hear the news. And my dad was so upset with me. He was like, "Well, Robert had to have 3 stitches." You know, he got the phone call. I was like, "I'm sorry, Dad." It was all of us throwing sticks. I swear, I'm
Yeah,
just the unlucky one.
could have just have been easily been me
Yeah.
throwing at you, or
Was it 3 stitches? You
I
probably don't
want to
know.
say it was just one. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty minor. In the
Now,
when all the dust settled.
now the other thing we did, and this is even relevant today, is you had I don't know what birthday it would have been. We went to see the Phantom Menace episode 1.
Mm.
What year was that? I should have looked it up. Let's see.
I'd say
And
it
we
was
kind of liked it. I think we
2020,
were just young, and it was 1999.
1999. Wrong side of 2000.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's we would have been 14. So, I mean, I remember liking it. Okay, nobody, we
Yeah, we were. I think we were young enough that Jar Jar wasn't super annoying.
1 or 2 more years, and it would have been like,
Yeah.
oh,
Um,
well, the Jar Jar thing was like, man, when he was the reason that Palpatine got all the power, right? It was like, really? It's because of Jar Jar voting him the emergency powers or whatever? Come on, guys. This is terrible.
yeah.
But I do remember that, and I remember I still have somewhere that first sequel or sorry prequel toy that like what was it called, Stat Droid or something, flying through the guy on the speeder flying through
Oh,
the
little.
trees. It's like this is
Um,
gonna be worth so much money. It's probably
yeah.
not because that's what everybody thought. They, but
The hover Segway
yeah,
looking thing. Yeah.
yeah, good times. All right, so I don't know if you had anything you wanted to talk about with high school.
Yeah. The only other thing was with marching band was going to nationals. Those 2 years
That was
that we
such a
went.
cool trip.
Yeah.
I have a vivid memory of that the last note that we played our
Mm.
senior year at the in during finals,
Yeah.
and I probably cracked it because I was playing so loud. I was like, I'm gonna leave it all on the
Just
field.
blast it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was such a cool trip though.
Yeah.
And
That was.
I felt bad. I didn't know our with the Steve Pratt episode. I gave the wrong rankings, but Katie Paris corrected me in her episode. So, but yeah, man, yeah, that's kind of been a theme throughout these first few episodes is how just amazing that band program was, and just us lucking into it basically.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
oh,
so no need to retread old ground for your listeners then.
but you played sax during marching season as we've mentioned, and oboe. Were you one of the saxes who had to march? I think it was just one who basically did like 3 to 5 or 2 to 5. I forget who was the tall guy because I remember somebody either Barry sax or sax having to just basically leap across the field for one of the for some of the.
Yeah, I remember that now too. It was not me.
Yeah, it wasn't you. It may have been Kenneth. I forget his last name, but anyway, good times. It was serious. I mean, if y'all should go check out a YouTube video of us of one of those shows, especially Exodus. That was probably that was our sophomore year. That was a pretty amazing show.
Yeah.
But all right, so here's the only other thing I know about you. Well, I know some because we saw each other. That was how many years ago? That would have been at least 3 or 4 years ago, right? Because it was
Yeah, it was before Jack was born. It was right before Morgan and I got married.
yeah, because you came into
Which
town.
Morgan says hi, by the way.
Hello, is she in the room?
She is, but she's chilling out. And I'm on headphones, so she can't hear
Yeah.
anything.
So you came into town for I guess for her to meet your parents. Is that right? Or
And
your
parents had
extended
already
family?
met her. I think it was kind of the rest of the family. Um,
and we met over
My
at
my grandparents
Megalitos.
and my uncle's family were living there.
Shout
So
out to Megalitos.
yes,
It's a great little Mexican place in Hearst, or maybe it's Bedford. I don't know officially, but right on the. I think it's got to be Hearst, right?
I think so. Seems right.
But I think that's the only time we probably saw each other since high school, um, in person. Maybe once or twice. Some
I want
other.
to say yeah, we met up a couple other times when I was back from college.
Yeah. So you went to ACLU first, right? But you didn't graduate from there.
ACU.
ACU, sorry. What did I say?
Right.
ACLU.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
that's the. You
ACLU.
went to the Civil Rights Civil Liberties Union for college. No, you went to Abilene Christian University, right?
Right. Um, yeah. So that was a struggling time for me. Having never really had to work too hard in high school. College came as a bit of a shock to me, and I wasn't very disciplined. So uh, grades went well at first, and then suffered, and I had to take some time away.
What was your
Um,
major that you were doing at the time?
I was a physics major at that point.
Oh, that's rough too. You should
Yeah.
have done humanities, man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because that's I think I
Might
may have
have
mentioned
might have
this,
might have
but
all gone differently.
yeah, when I went to UNT, I kind of had the same experience of like we were, uh, we did all of this intense stuff in high school, and then I got to UNT, and I was like, oh, I don't have to do really anything except just my classes. And so it's no physics degree to get humanities, and I love my classes and stuff, but it was like I kind of just want to relax. I don't want to have to run around doing 1,000 things anymore. And you're around people who are just kind of chilling out and doing the college experience, and it's like, oh, I don't have to have all my cylinders pumping at all time. So did you take some time off from college?
Yes, and shortly after, I was told to take some time off. Um, my dad's job moved up to Ohio,
That's right. That's right.
and so I went along with them. Uh, and I didn't feel ready to attempt higher education again. So just worked a little bit. Bob Evans, just basically a Denny's, if for anyone who's not familiar. Um,
Is it at least better service than Denny's?
I don't know. I was in the kitchen, so
All right.
um,
I used to love Denny's, and then when I grew up, I was like, oh, this is a. Sorry,
yeah,
no offense to Denny's people out there, but had a lot of bad
yeah,
experiences. All right,
yeah.
sorry. Anyway, Bob Evans.
Yeah, that didn't last too long. Food service is a good experience for a short time.
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
funny. I think we had that exact same. I forget which podcast it was, but I was talking to somebody. I was like, everybody needs to work in food service and retail,
Yeah,
um,
at least one of
at
them.
least for a month. I
Yeah,
wouldn't recommend it for much longer than a summer.
yeah. That then yeah, a couple other dead end jobs didn't really doesn't really matter too much. I eventually figured out, okay, I'm not getting anywhere like this, so I considered taking my dad's path to to a career and enlisting.
Yeah. Now, he was in the Navy as well, correct?
Right,
Okay.
and that led to him getting the job that he still has today, and those skills that he gained. And so I talked to him about it, and he recommended that I not enlist, that I become an officer instead, which requires a degree. So I I thought long and hard about that, and decided to go ahead and pursue that. And so I re-entered college at the Ohio State University.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and,
That's the one that
and
I always confuse with my dad's college because he went to OU, Ohio. Oh, this is going to be embarrassing if I'm wrong. There's an Ohio University, right?
yes,
Yeah. And people think OU, they think Oklahoma because if you're from Texas, but there's OU in Ohio, and we're like, oh, wasn't that OSU, Dad? Oh, I didn't go to
Yeah.
OSU.
And then in Oklahoma, you also have Oklahoma State University.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
To,
that's true. That's
yeah,
funny.
to add more confusion.
Yeah,
In Oregon also.
yeah.
Anyway, so I did the Navy ROTC program there, and I did a math major this time. Um, my thinking there was I'm only here for a degree. I need a degree to become an officer, and then figure out what I'm actually doing in the Navy. So what am I best at? Math. I'll just get a nice easy math degree. Ha.
Yeah, that's
But
not where my mind would go with math.
yeah.
But if you were good at it,
Well,
so what kind of
I
math is
did.
it? Was it like basic math, or not basic, but I mean like general mathematics, or was did
Yeah, it
you have
was
to have
just
a?
they had a couple of specialties, but I wasn't really interested in either of them. So I just did the general math curriculum. Yeah, it went well. The ROTC program and my own motivation helped me have the discipline I needed to get through my
Yeah,
studies.
it's
And
amazing how incentive structures work like that. You just you need the right incentive, and you'll be driven a little more. So
right.
okay, I'm gonna reveal my ignorance here of the military. Um, but actually, you explained a little bit of what I was going to ask. Because so you can enlist. What's the difference between like what do you call it? Not is it non-com if you're not an officer, like non-commissioned, or am I
So
getting that
yeah.
wrong?
Okay. So enlisting um, means this isn't always the case. There's plenty of enlisted guys with college degrees, but I guess the most common path is right out of high school you enlist. So little to no college, and you're sort of a tradesman. There's a huge number of different what they call rates, different jobs you can do in the Navy. You can be a mechanic, an electrician, and those sorts of roles. You're the guys actually doing the work on the ship. Officers are kind of the managers, the decision makers, um, and so it's a little bit different training path. Enlisted are highly focused, of course, on what they do, and they're the experts in that particular field. Officers have to learn everything uh, at not so quite so deep a level, and so you have this kind of a general understanding of how the entire ship or submarine, in my case, that you're on works. So you can get advice from your technical experts, the enlisted guys, and then make an educated decision based on that.
Nice. And I presume you can enlist and eventually become an officer later as well, or if you choose to go down that route, or is
Yes,
that rare or no, or is that pretty common?
it, it's not uncommon, I
Yeah,
would say, and it kind of up to based on the performance of the individual and what they want to do. But there are a handful of different ways to make that happen
yeah,
to transition from enlisted to officer.
cool. All right, so you get your degree. Was that how long were you at OSU? Was that like how many years did you have to spend there based on?
I was like just shy of 4. Um, I actually graduated slightly early. I accelerated myself because um, Ohio State was shifting from they had been under a quarter system, and they were going to the more standard trimesters
Yeah,
to more closely align with all the other schools out there to make it easier for um, students to transfer. And then I remember the administration was swearing up and down that this would not affect anybody's graduation schedule.
I'll
I
bet.
I
Yeah,
didn't believe that,
yeah,
so I pushed my last year. Probably pushed myself more than I should have. I ended up taking 4 500 level math classes my last semester. which was a lot, but I made it.
Yep,
Uh,
nice.
and I'm glad that I did that because I did hear a lot of horror stories about.
No, no, you can trust the bureaucracy, man. Come
Uh,
on, come
yeah,
on. It's
I
a
got your
well-oiled
back.
machine over there.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so there I am, graduated, commissioned the next day, as we call it. Commissioned is what you call it when you become an officer. Oh, sorry, you mentioned non-commissioned officers before. So within the enlisted ranks, once you reach a certain level, in the Navy, it's petty officer. There's
Okay,
third class petty officer, um, would be the lowest non-commissioned officer rank. It doesn't really mean a huge amount, other than you started to gain more responsibility and
yeah,
and kind of be taken more seriously as a member of the crew. Um, but yeah,
nice.
that's what the NCO
Well, thank you, because
refers
as
to.
a 36-year-old, I probably should know all of this by now. But you've set me straight.
And
It's good.
I mean, if you're not around the military, there's no
Yeah,
reason for you to pick up on those nuances.
but
So
still,
definitely don't.
it's always bothered me. Not it's never bothered me enough to ask somebody or look it up, but it's always like anytime I'm doing a crossword and it's like they have a lot of the officer abbreviations.
Mm,
Like I don't know what this means. Is a colonel higher than a or whatever? But
feel free to reach out if
yeah,
you're
I'll text you next time.
stuck.
Hey,
Yeah.
so so you get commissioned, and
Yep.
then what? Like where do you go from there? And how did
So
you choose submarines?
Um, so during I'd been interested early on. They kind of give you a little peek of the different communities, as we call them, and the main ones in the Navy are surface warfare officers. That's the Navy everyone thinks of, the big ships
Yeah,
sailing around. Submarines, of course, aviation. Um, so the Navy does have aircraft as well.
are the Blue Angels Navy?
Yes.
Or okay, that's what I thought because we actually just drove through. We did the big Disney trip a couple weeks ago and drove through. Is it past? It's at Pensacola that they're out of,
That
or is that anyway?
that
We
may
drove.
there's definitely a naval air station there,
Yeah,
but I'm not sure if the Blue Angels are out of there or
I
not.
think it might
They
be because
very well
we.
could be.
Yeah, but anyway, sorry.
No problem. And then we also had Marines with us. That Marines they're a separate branch, but they're administrated under the Department of the Navy, so they're part of the same ROTC program. Um, so we kind of get a glimpse of the of the skills and demands of each community, and the submarines being highly technical kind of appealed to me. Um, so in order to get accepted into the submarine community, you have to go to an interview at Washington D.C. with um, the admiral that's in charge of the uh, the nuclear power program of the Navy. Um, the four-star admiral. So just a little intimidating
A little bit.
when when you're like not even really in the military, you're just fake military.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. A little bit imposter
College
syndrome, maybe.
student. Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started on
Yeah.
imposter syndrome. But so I did that, and was accepted, uh, and then that this is while you're still in college. So um, after I commissioned, then if you are going into submarines, your next step is the nuclear power school in Charleston, and that is everyone says it's like drinking through a fire hose. You're taking pretty pretty I want to say advanced engineering courses, but very accelerated. They they kind of dumb things down and give you like a surface level, or close enough understanding, but the just the number of different systems and things that you have to understand over a 6 month period is is immense. You're learning about every piping and electrical system in the submarine,
Man, that's crazy.
and you have an exam or two per week. Um, and if you fail, I think you can fail one exam, and
Yeah.
a warning, and you have to get your GPA, um, at least to a certain level, by graduation, or you also fail. So that was difficult, but manageable. And after that, you do what they call a prototype, and that's they have a couple of. If you go to Charleston, there's one in New York as well, but I did the Charleston one. There's a couple of decommissioned submarines there, the engine rooms that are still operational. So you actually go to the engine room of a submarine, operate the reactor, and all the systems that you spent the last 6 months working about, and they run drills on you. Something goes wrong, something breaks. What do you do? How do you get back up and running?
Quick,
Is that
preferably.
Yeah, right? You're on a
Real quick.
submarine, right? And then,
Yeah.
much like sharks, they need to keep moving through the water
Uh-huh.
or they sink. Um, so that one I thought was a little easier in a way. I mean, it's challenging for sure, but more practical.
Well, let me ask this.
Different.
So you said the first one was manageable, difficult but manageable. But how many, what's the dropout rate? What's the success rate of the people who go through that program? Is it? I can
It
imagine it's pretty.
varies class to class.
Yeah.
The but the I want to say it's like 75-80%. Most people do make it through. It's not a
Okay.
huge attrition rate, but I think a lot of that is because of that interview process.
Yeah. By that. Yeah.
Early on, they kind of weed out who, and they do a pretty good job at this point of being able to tell
Okay.
who's got the motivation and the acumen to to make it through. Um, so after all that training, and then, there's a little bit more. So you spend like a year learning the nuclear power plant and the back half of the boat, and they give you 3 months to learn everything else. Torpedoes, missiles, driving, sonar, um, and that was up in Groton, Connecticut, which, fortunately I was able to do that during the summer. So it was beautiful, and after the rigors of the nuclear power training, this is just kind of a joke. You you go to class,
Yeah.
you pay attention, and you can pass. There's no need to study. So every weekend we are going to a different spot in New England, just loving life.
Nice.
Uh, then you go to your actual submarine, and things get real again. Um, you have a year roughly a year to qualify. So basically, almost like you're starting over. Take everything you learned, and all your training, go back to the engine room, and now learn it in depth. All the stuff that they glossed over, and dumbed down for you to get you through the school. Now you have to get that figured out and learn the specifics of the submarine that you are on, because they kind of just do a generalized version at the school, because we have a number of different submarines. They don't I have no idea which one you're going to go to
Right.
at that point.
Are most of, I don't know if you can say this, are most of them nuclear powered
All
now?
our
If not
all our
all?
submarines are nuclear
Okay.
powered. Um, yes,
Because
and
my
then
I have my great uncle, my grandmother's brother, was in the subs in World War II. I'm gonna say World War II. Um, but there's no way we had him then because we didn't split the atom until the end of that war.
correct. Yeah,
Um, but anyway, that was kind of cool. I actually got to see him alive. how old was he? He was in Dallas for a gathering of all the submarine guys from the war, and he was in his uniform, and that's pretty crazy just to imagine being in those older subs
Yeah.
during World War II. It's craziness.
Yeah, but so believe it or not, maybe our relatives um, met at some point. So my great grandfather was also a submariner
Oh, nice. We should look
in
into that at
World
some
War
point.
II. Yeah, he was an officer as well, and I was given by my grandfather um, his fish, as we call them, is the dolphins, is the symbol that on the uniform that you're given when you qualify, and that's a big deal in the
Yeah,
submarine force. It's kind of your transition from being uh, just someone who's in training, kind of taking up space on the submarine. You're not contributing to. Okay, now you're really part of the crew. You're here manning the watch bill, helping us fight the fight, um, instead of a resource drain. Um,
yeah, yeah. You're finally carrying your own weight.
exactly.
So that was so how quick did you get that? You said you had a year to do it. And
It was right about a year.
are you on the sub the whole time, like for the entire year?
It kind of depends. I was on a ballistic missile submarine, and those are set up with, they actually have two crews that rotate, um, and that's in order to keep the those submarines out at sea for the maximum amount of time possible. Um, the the other like main type of submarine we have is fast attack submarines. Those are mostly torpedo, um, and they have some conventional missiles, but not the ballistic missiles. Those have a single crew, so you would be on board the entire time, but those aren't necessarily going out to sea quite
Yeah. Okay.
as often. They'll spend longer in port. Um, so it's kind of a trade off which one you go to. The when you are at sea on the boomer, as we call it. Um,
Okay. Boom. All right. No, never mind.
yeah,
Sorry.
okay,
All
boomer.
right. Boomer.
It's kind of is a very high op tempo, as we call it, operational tempo. But then you come back, the other crew takes over, you get to catch your breath a little bit. The fast boat guys they have their boat the whole time. They're always having to be responsible for the boat, but they're not having to go out to sea quite as often.
And now I just as we're talking, I'm remembering your mom asked me to write you a letter because what is it, like the halfway mark of your time out at sea.
Yeah,
What's the name, or what's the term? I forget what it's called. It's
that's halfway night.
halfway night.
Um,
And then
yeah,
I think the letter I wrote, you didn't see it or something until you got back. Is that right?
Uh, yeah, I think when the patrol that happened, I don't remember what it was, but we didn't get the halfway boxes delivered.
Oh, you didn't get
Uh,
any of it. Okay. For some reason
yeah,
I was thinking it was like just in a place you didn't see it or something. At least made me feel
uh,
good to write it to you,
no, and it was
even
it
if it
was
offered no
it was nice
solace.
to see too, and think back when I
Yeah.
when I did get it in my
So,
hands.
do they do any I mean, do you have to go through any psychological evaluation? Because I imagine go a little crazy being that confined, in the
Uh,
submarines specifically.
they're minimal, I would say. It's kind of more they figure anyone who's really against it isn't going um, to volunteer. It is
Yeah.
all volunteer. Not to say that nobody ever gets their arm twisted and says, "Hey, why you really should go submarines." But I mean, ultimately, if you say no, you won't be forced. Um, but and there are people that when they get there find that it's too much, or but there are ways to to manage that as well. Typically, talk to medical. I never had to go through it, but
Do they give you
they
a poster
they
of
find
the?
you they
Do,
find you another.
They give you a
another
poster of a
another job.
window that makes it look like you're looking out into a field to put in your to put next to your bike. There you
Yeah.
go. Geez, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I might be able to do that, just in term, not in terms of the rigor of the actual qualifications, but just being, confined. I don't think it would be that big of a deal, claustrophobic wise. I've never.
And the
Uh,
boomers are pretty big. It's really almost like being in a building, um, kind of a cramped building, but a building nonetheless. There's enough different places you can go to either be with people or be away from people. Um,
that's
so,
nice.
so that yeah, that part wasn't that bad. It's more you have to stand watch for 8 hours, and then you have a division to run as well. So
Are there
most days you're doing
people? Yeah, because how does the nighttime work? Like, do you just um, do you rotate who does nights, or is it just one group does the nighttime?
different boats handle it differently. But most boats will rotate. And we did a 2 week rotation, so you're on the same schedule for two
For 2 weeks,
weeks,
yeah.
and then you'll jump forward.
And
Um,
but I imagine it may not mess. I mean, are you underwater for most of the time, if not all?
Pretty much all the time.
Because I imagine it may not even make that much difference who's on the nighttime because it's there's no way to tell, if it's night or day. Is that right?
right, unless you're someone who looks through a periscope.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but the daytime is when all the training activities happen, all the drills, and um, is it not everybody is part of the watch team. There are parts of the crew that are dedicated to training the rest of the crew, and they typically maintain a daytime schedule. So all the training events they run are during the day, and that's the reason the teams rotate, so everybody gets to be on watch
To
during
get
the
that, yeah.
daytime training. Yeah.
Cool. Well, let me ask you this, kind of a transition, but all the talk about global warming and energy crisis, and to my mind, it's like eventually we're just going to have to be okay with nuclear power if we're really serious about getting off fossil fuels. Like, what are your thoughts about that? Having worked on nuclear subs, I mean, I don't hear about many meltdowns on the submarine equipment. Obviously, powering a sub is nothing like powering an entire country, but I mean, are you more comfortable with the idea of nuclear energy, kind of like France does, if you know anything about that? Um,
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it. Um, just I understand it, and I think a lot of the trepidation is because it's not well understood, and that's nobody's fault. It's
well,
hard.
and people point out what is 3 Mile Island, but from what I hear, that was mostly a success in terms of getting everybody out, right? And I don't know
Three
much
Mile
about it, so
Island
I'm
was
speaking out of turn. But
I would say it was a mixed success. They they did they did a generally good job managing the actual event, um, based on what they could tell at the time. Um,
and that was years
the
ago. I
the
mean,
big the biggest failure, in my opinion, for 3 Mile Island was the public affairs aspect. They weren't the people that were managing the messaging were not honest with the public, and
oh,
and
I see, I
so
see.
that
Okay.
that turned into just created a lot of doubt and fear around what was going on. Um, and that's as you can see today has damaged
Yeah.
the industry significantly. But so as far as the getting off of fossil fuels, I I think that nuclear has to be a piece of it. Um, I think that renewables also have to be a piece of it. Um, someone I can't remember who it was, that I was listening to a speech sometime, and said I don't believe that complex problems have simple solutions.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
for
I
sure.
think that's the case here. Um, but yeah, I think we we as a society, as a nation, as a global community, even are doing ourselves a disservice if we don't pursue every avenue that we can reduce all of our carbon footprints.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So are you still active duty right now?
I am not. Uh, 2020, I switched over to reserves, so I'm a reservist now, and I'm now a uh, engineer for the Navy in a civilian role.
Capacity. Nice. And
I'm
that's
at
over in Georgia.
yeah.
We had a mix up earlier. We're supposed to record earlier today, and I forgot to. Well, it's funny because I've everybody else I've reached out to, I've made sure it's Central Time, and for whatever reason, I just slipped my mind.
I mean, I'm just as much to blame. I know
Well, yeah,
exactly
but
where you are.
well, it's funny
So.
because I was driving home from where I was. I was like, oh yeah, just kind of thinking about what I was going to talk to you about. I was like, oh yeah, military. I'll make sure I know where he's stationed. I'm like, wait, he might be stationed not in the Central Time Zone, and we, anyway. Um, that's cool. I've got my wife's family is from Georgia. Speaking of which, you were friends with my wife's brother, right? Chris Grab,
Yes.
who is also Navy. Um, he's out in San Diego right now, I believe. Alrighty, well, we're just about at the hour mark, so I'm gonna pivot over to the to what you wrote in my yearbook. Then I have a little prepared statement, and I'll give you your quiz.
All right.
As I said, a little challenge in this. I, I don't think I can outdo what I did for Katie Paris. I gave her a quiz because her married name is Coleman, so I gave her 3 questions about Paris and France, and 3 questions about the 2-burner Coleman stove. It's like, I'm not going to be able to top that. It just makes me laugh anytime I think about it. But that's just me tuning my own horn. So here's what she wrote in my yearbook in 2003. Well, dot dot dot. Thanks for the constant rides and everything. I used to drive you to school. We would
You
carpool.
did.
With any luck, I'll have a license by summer camp, so perhaps the last ride is soon to come. Dot dot dot. Robert. There you go. Not bad. Classic.
So heartfelt.
No hags. No have a good summer. You didn't go the hackneyed route. All right. But before your quiz, here's I do a little prepared statement for everybody. And just kind of adapt it a little bit for each person. Robert, because of your intelligence and sense of humor, I am sincerely grateful and better for having known you. You are just one of the hundreds of kind, generous, and benevolent people I know in a world where we need every single one we can get. Please keep being awesome, doing awesome things, and serving our country. And I do appreciate your service, especially having been down in the depths of the ocean to keep us safe if we need be. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now your name is Robert Williams, but often when we talk about you or your name comes up, people sometimes think we're saying Robin Williams. So I had a quiz about the great comedian Robin Williams. This is 5 questions. Some easy, some kind of trip me up a little bit, but hopefully you know him because you've grown up with a name sounding like his. Okay. Number 1, you'll have 7 seconds to answer these questions. Oh. In Jumanji, Robin Williams played a man who has been trapped in a board game during his childhood. What was the name of this character? Is it A, Alan Partridge, B, Alan Parrish, C, Adam Porridge, or D, Adam Pearson?
I'll go with B.
Correct, Alan Parrish. That's good. That's good.
Alan was pretty sure of.
Adam Porridge, not Adam Porridge. Okay. In which film did Robin Williams play a divorced man who took an unusual approach to maintaining contact with his children? Do you need the multiple choice for this?
No.
All right, what is it? There you go. All right, good. I always blank when I try to remember the actual name of it, so I may have needed the multiple choice. Robin Williams played the role of Will Hunting's therapist in Good Will Hunting. Which actor played the eponymous title role? Was it A, Gus Van Sant, B, Ben Affleck, C, Matt Damon, or D, Stellan Skarsgård?
That was Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Are you a fan of Team America? You don't want to publicly say.
I wouldn't say so.
You don't have to say both. All right, yeah. I'll admit, I'm a huge fan of that awfully offensive movie. Okay. Things get just a little crazy with this escapaded lab animal. In which of these movies does Robin Williams play the character Batty? Is it A, Over the Hedge, B, Bambi, C, Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest, or D, Furry Vengeance?
That's Fern Gully.
Yes, Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest. All right, and final. Have you gotten these all right? Oh, so far, so good. Okay. After a very busy 1991, Robin Williams took it rather easy in 1992. He, quote-unquote, only appeared in 2 live-action movies, not to mention providing the voice for 3 animated flicks. In which independent film, directed by Bobcat Goldthwait, does Robin Williams submit an hilarious performance as a mime drill instructor? Is it A, Get Over It, B, The Stoned Age, C, Shakes the Clown, or D, Dazed and Confused?
I have no idea. I will go with A.
Incorrect. It was Shakes the Clown. Shakes the Clown. Never heard of it until I looked these up, so you're not. It's kind of an unfair question. That's not bad, not bad. You did 4 out of 5. There's no standardization of these quizzes for guests because they're all just at random difficulty levels and numbers. Because that's how I roll. We didn't actually talk about the Colorado trip we took.
Oh no,
that was a good little trip. You and I went with you and your parents to was it in general a Colorado? Well, no, where did your the people we stay with? I can't remember what relation they were to you. They're not.
They were good friends of ours from church.
And they lived. Do you remember what town they lived in, Colorado? Because I know we stopped in Colorado Springs, where I've got some family. My cousin and actually my aunt was there at the time as well.
Yeah, the closest city that anybody would possibly be able to find on the map is Golden.
Yeah, that was a cool trip. We did a ton of stuff. We did a ton of national parks.
It's the lodge is out in the sticks for sure, and the name of the community that it's actually part of is escaping me right now.
I remember on that trip. I remember waking up in the middle of the night. We were in bunk beds. I was on the bottom bunk, and I woke up and didn't realize where I was for a second. And I sat up and hit my head on the upper bunk, and I was like, "Oh, I'm surprised that didn't hurt." And then 6 seconds later, my asleep brain caught up with the pain. I was like, "Oh, that really hurts."
You got a little piece of the submarine experience right there.
Yeah, there you go. Waking up, banging your head. Nice. All right, well, I guess I'll let you go because it's an hour later there, and you've got all those 2 boys to chase around, and I got to go put mine down actually too. So I appreciate the time, man.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out. This was fun.
Next time you're in Texas, don't be shy. You and Christian and I will have to hang out.
Yeah, same to you when you're over on the East Coast.
Which we might be. We might be at some point.
All right.
Alrighty, man. Talk to you later.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye. All right, that was the show. Thanks for listening, everyone. Today's episode was recorded by Mark Dye. Our editor is Mark Dye, and he is also the executive producer. The intro and outro music was composed by Mark Dye in high school. It's really just me doing this. To support the How the Heck Have You Been podcast, visit artbymarker.com and buy some cool art. Thanks, y'all.